All right, Mekone turned 54. Dire Portent, always good. This actually is good news. So Arcos Folly grabbed Mother Oak back, which, talked about how much it matters that they particularly have it, but just the fact that, there's two different nations that are both essentially wasting gems, right? Because, Niflheim definitely lost gems, right? Because at best, he cast it for, I think it's 50 nature gems, right? And you get 10 a turn, and he lost it right away. So anyway, just, when other people fight over globals, that's pretty much a good thing for everybody but them, because there's, fewer nature gems now that can be used against us. Well, other than the extra nature gems they're getting, but, you know what I mean. Anyway, Thune is cloud trapezing. Of course, we didn't find any sights, and there's a battle on Marverni. So we'll see if this attack goes better. Talked about how the plan was to do flight, and of course there's a storm, because there's always a storm. Luckily, it looks like TNN is not patrolling every turn, so I don't know whether they had to pull those guys off for other stuff, or they just wanted the research. And looks like he will actually cast flight. That's interesting. I was curious to see if he was going to cast flight on himself, even though he cannot use it, which he did. And then now he walks forward feeling very foolish. Don't worry, Thune, you and me both. Anyway, he's with as much kit as he has, he shouldn't have any trouble with these Furbolg. It is a good thing that he has the AoE. He does take a hit, because Furbolg, well, maybe not the slingers, but they have decent, well, it's routing, so not amazing stats. But I mean, our guy, he's pretty good stats, but not fantastic stats. Like he is a caster ultimately, but against minimal PD, not a problem. So we locked down Marverni, which is good news. That went to plan. Profit coming out from Micklin, and then a couple other battles, not really very interesting, right? This is just some of our Peltasts taking out minimal PD. And then, this is just a Polomark group taking out that province that rebelled against us. And this is a little bit interesting, because I don't think we've seen Russ fight before. I don't think we've seen their bless. Can't remember offhand. But just an empty fort, empty Kalem fort, so they should have no problem recapturing. Well, let's take a look at the bless. Yeah, super rainbowy. Actually, maybe we have looked at this. But this is pretty scary. I feel like this is normal for us. They have pretty good sacreds. And these bears are not the recruitable sacreds, just summonable. I don't know if they actually have any of their sacreds in here. I don't think so, actually. But their sacreds turn into bears as well. But anyway, they got a bunch of stuff on here. This is decently scary. But not a particularly interesting battle, but it looks like, Russ is doing a bunch of bear stuff, which pretty normal for us. And then events, of course. So, rumors of plague. We're not going to do anything about that. Slaughtering helots, of course. Demons. And then this is actually really nice. So we picked up a lore master. We had a mage join. I'll have to take a look. And lore masters are all over the place in terms of paths they get. So it could be interesting. And heat wave, that's fine. We like heat. And then, conjuration is cheaper. And then here's, those demons that manifested. And they take our province, because we don't have a ton of PD here. And spine devils are kind of nasty. And then, of course, we're not actually going to crack Marverni. Thune alone, it's not enough to breach it. So that's not surprising. And then, some patrolling and stuff. So what are we up to? So we're just, continuing forward with the plan, right? So everybody's moving forward. And I believe, okay, Thune's going to hang out. So, we just want, like, maximum strength here on this province. So we've talked about this group, and then following in behind is the actual army. That's the same army that we've seen that's going to be able to actually crack the walls. Have reorganized it just a little bit. Didn't really like having the commanders out in front of our line of Gigantes. A lot of them got hung up on stuff. Obviously, Basilisk has been cut. And then, all the random garbage is now just in a squad in the front, right? A lot of these guys are the fear guy. Kind of nice to maybe hold on to him, but whatever. I just didn't bother organizing him out. Everybody else in there is pretty worthless. So they're just in the front. They're going to go forward. Our Gigantes are going to hold to get their buffs, which is a little scary. If we do get dropped on with Wrathful Skies or something like that, that's 2 rounds they're going to be taking lightning strikes. And then they're just going to go attack rear, so they hopefully will go get, that caster. The fact that we got dropped on and it wasn't Wrathful Skies is a good sign. I feel like probably if TNN was able to do that, they would have. I don't know. I'm not an expert at Wrathful Skies traps. Definitely, even though it's very powerful, it does take a second because it's just random, where it strikes. So it does actually take a second, to actually kill an entire army. And if your caster can't survive, say, a crap ton of giants rushing them, then, you can fail in Wrathful Skies traps. So maybe he has the tech, but just didn't feel like he could support it. But regardless, we're going in. The other reason that we may have had such an easy time on top of Marverni, right, is, Arcocephali is looking like they're going to go after Titan Steps again. And we can see that, obviously we don't know where TNN's Sacreds are, but they're a stack of garbage. They like these monkey archers, probably going to be some flaming arrows. So they're here, so... they could come after us in Marverni. Marverni is probably it's definitely a more valuable province because it's a capital. But, if he moves here to knock us off, then he's going to get kind of cut off by Arcocephali's force. So the timing here is really in our favor, and, like I said, mostly just luck. And then, of course, the other good news is he won't actually be able to see our army moving out. Now, he may guess, but he may also, think that... Well, actually, no, yeah, he would know that it wasn't here, but it's just going to make it harder for him to drop anything on our army, right? Because, we control this province, not completely, but we control the exterior. So, we take some of the income, and then, he doesn't get any sight on bordering provinces, even though he has the fort, because we have the province. And since we took this province as well, unless he takes it back, which he might, and we're not going to leave, we're on 1 PD, so he might take this back, and then would see our army, and then could drop on top of us. But there's a good chance that, he doesn't have anything in position to take it immediately, in which case, he won't actually know that our army is here, and, unless he has a scout, right? There's lots of, you could be scrying on it, there's dominions. You should probably assume that whatever bad thing you're worried about happening could happen, and be ready for it. But there's a decent chance that he won't actually know that our army is here. Now, it's not going to surprise him. He could certainly guess, right? It's like, we're going to be coming to siege down this fort. And, the fact that there's only one way in, really does kind of limit our options. But, we're less exposed this time. And then, we're sending our Peltasts down, just continuing to do raiding and be annoying. The good news here, too, is that, if TNN takes this battle this turn and loses, they only have one, retreat path. They could also retreat to this fortification. But anyway, the fewer retreat provinces they have, the better. And, just try to keep the pressure up. Otherwise, monster collection going on. Here's that province we lost from the Spine Devils. I'm not actually sure what this is. Oh, some site searching, some manual site searching there with Lizard Shaman for nature. And then, just bring in, this is our group that raided back that province from the independence, and so they're just going to keep covering. That's 2 more months for this fort construction, so everybody's just sort of hanging out here. Probably should have these guys researching now. That's a mistake. We just built this lab, so yeah, that's why they were patrolling last turn, doing a little preaching, trying to get our Dominion up. And then, here's the Lore Master. So he's an Heir 2, Astral 1. That's not a bad thing. Having another Heir 2 is nice, and, having a guy that can join a communion and do some air stuff is kind of cool. We kind of have our Astral covered now by our Lizard Shaman, so, Astral 1 is not super exciting. And we have Heir 2 already, so also not super exciting. So anyway, still, it's a free mage. He is going to be doing some site searching right away because we have not searched for air here. So yeah, that's good. Recruitment wise, we're kind of relying on luck right now. We're not making a lot of money. Our income to upkeep ratio is not good right now. So yeah, in our capital, we're just recruiting one of the lame researcher types. No unit recruitment going on. I think, always the Lizard Shamans. That's the last thing to go. And then here we have our Archon finishing off, but again, no real troop production. So kind of what we have, what you see is what you get. We're pretty much running close to, you don't want to go too much over this income upkeep ratio. It is, if you're making no gold a turn, it really limits your flexibility. And then if you take losses into provinces, you might run into upkeep problems. Anyway, yeah, we need, it'd be nice to pick up Marverni and get all of the upkeep here. And yeah, I think this is TNN's Pretender and their Dominion, and yeah, you can see there's some death here. So I'm not sure. yeah, some death over here as well in their capital. So I think they took like some light death. You know, not sure why it's not everywhere. But I don't think that this, right, because this is a capital, you know, usually like you see something like this and it's like, oh, maybe there's a well of pestilence there or something like that, but on a capital, like, no. So yeah, so I think TNN actually took death, which I think I'd mentioned before, but couldn't remember why I thought that, but yeah, so, you know, that could be why they're struggling now, because I mean, definitely as the game goes on, I mean, we can see... Yeah, right. So we took growth 3, right? And Mekone's growth is not great because, you know, every turn we're, you know, I've talked about the patrolling and everything, right? But it's like every turn we're killing people. And yeah, it's not a lot. But like it is still going to reduce. Let's see, I'm curious. Yeah, no, Hinnom. Of course, you know, we've been doing the same thing, and I don't know what kind of scales Hinnom took. But anyway, you can see like the major difference, right? This is at 33,000, which actually overall I think still has gone up. So probably Marverni like had some growth scales, but I mean you see it's a big difference, right? 39 versus 33. So you know it's kind of an indicator, and this will continue to grow a lot more as the game goes on. But anyway, so it could be some of the reason that like TNN is running out of gas a little bit. Obviously they're fighting like a 2 or maybe like 3v1, so that's a much bigger reason. But you know, death scales definitely, it's rough. I think that's probably one of the last scales, at least that I usually choose to tank. So yeah, I think that covers turn 54. All right, Mekone, turn 55, Arcane Probing, found a maze, very nice. I think this is Astral Pearl. And then speaking of gold problems, transmute fire, so we're converting fire gems into gold. I don't think this is a fantastic ratio. We are at least using an Archon. You get a better ratio the higher level mage that you use. But yeah, I don't have enough experience with this to know how good of a result this is, but yeah, I mean 576 gold is nice. Hurts to lose, you know, to use gems like that. Our lore master found nothing, and then there was a battle in Titan Steppes between Arcocephali and TNN, but TNN chose not to patrol, right? So they did not take the battle, and of course, I mean, we can take a quick look actually, just see what Arcocephali is rocking. Pretty similar, right? Again, no flying, which does really hurt them. I'm not really sure. I mean, I guess I'm trying to protect the slingers. They're kind of an interesting formation with like the long lines. Especially like these guys in the back are really going to struggle to get past the slingers, but well, they're sliding through. Okay. But anyway, like, yeah, here comes those gifts to heaven. So yeah, pretty similar to what we've seen. More spirit helms, I think. More water bottles. That's like, you know, what some of these water, probably all these water elementals are about. And like, yeah, I chatted with them. TNN is a nation that gets, you know, really effective assassins. We've mentioned that before. Oof, yeah, gifts to heaven. That really hurts. Yeah, TNN gets really good assassins, and you know, I was chatting a little with Arcocephali, and like, I think at least part of the reason we haven't been getting hit with those assassins is because TNN has been using them against Arcocephali quite a bit. So yeah, there's been a lot of assassination stuff that we haven't really been seeing. And yeah, thank heavens we're giants, basically. I think is what that comes down to. So yeah, you know, I mean, what, 24 mystics, that's a lot of mages mobilized. So it's going to be a tough army to take out. You know, I do think it's a lot of the same stuff that Gifts of Heaven is going to be real dangerous for everybody involved. And then, yeah, I think this is that same force from Rust, just going out and rating minimal PD. And then these are our Peltasts, rating minimal PD, no problem there. Unexpected events, again, always with the red village wells. Maybe this is why, you know, slaughtering all the Helits. And then people getting devoured by vine men, drowning witches, and trolls. Great. This is the downside of like Turmoil 3 is, you know, you get your vine men, your trolls, your barbarians, all that good stuff. Hey, we found some astral pearls though. That's nice. More gems. Yeah, that's 7 gems total. Plus, you know, these other, yeah, luck is nice. This is the full luck. And then yeah, it's cheaper for conjuration right now. And then yeah, here's the trolls taking out our PD, and then actually we took out the Vinemen. We didn't. This must have been, yeah, this is on one of our forts. So it's one of the advantages. I mean, usually fort PD is enough to take it out, but like, you know, we always kind of have some patrollers built in. Not that Vinemen are particularly scary, and yeah, this guy has no gems, so not a like, amazing win. Still managed to lose, you know, half of our foul spawn basically, but you know, it's fine. Hopefully those are the ones that we have to pay upkeep on. So yeah, now we're starting to break down Marverni. This is like our larger goon squad, so we have like enough giant thugs that we're actually starting to, you know, inflict a little bit of wall damage. And then yeah, patrolling, so we don't care about that. And of course, I skipped right over the Dire Portent, probably because this is coming from our enemy, TNN, so just willfully ignoring it. And it's one of the ones that isn't listed, so let's go take a look at what that is. And it's Sea of Ice. Actually, you know, when I was playing this, I don't think you get notified when a global is dispelled. I'll have to double check that, but I actually did not recall Sea of Ice going down during the run of play. Obviously it did, and so like yeah, it looks like, you know, they're just battling each other in that sense. So this is really good news because that's a bunch of water gems. I think it's water gems. Let's double check. Yeah, so it's a bunch of water gems that TNN can't use on us, and it's an indicator that obviously Atlantis is still hostile with them. So anyway, yeah, that is not bad news. In terms of what we are up to, right? So we have our thug squad holding down this fort. We're in pretty good shape now, right? Because Arco is holding down this fort. So now we're moving our main army in. Probably should have rejiggered this a little bit, right? Because this formation for, you know, the thug squad is good when they're on their own, but it's not going to be useful when they're combined. I think I was still worried about, you know, our thug squad by itself, right, having to take a battle, right, because this is what it looks like with, you know, currently without our army. But again, you cannot be magic phase attacked when you're sitting on top of an enemy fort. So I think I'm actually pretty safe because this is technically a friendly province now, because we control the province, just not the fort. So our army move should happen before, like, if he tried to come out and sally and fight a battle, our army would actually arrive first, and then we would fight the battle. So I think I would have been safe, you know, rearranging this. Whoops, it's Y as the hotkey to bring up everybody that's moving into the province, which is really useful for trying to organize when you have forces coming in from multiple places. But anyway, yeah, I think I would have been safe to reorganize this and be safe in the assumption that they would fight together and not independently. I guess our army could still get jumped on, but that's okay. Anyway, this is what it'll look like when everybody's together. I'm not really expecting TNN to come out of the fort because, I mean, you know, they're probably pretty busy. I never got the sense that Marverni was like a major, it's one of their maybe most recent acquisitions, so he hasn't had a ton of turns to build up a bunch of mages inside of it. So I don't expect it to be empty, but I'm also, you know, not expecting him to have enough stuff to, you know, challenge us out in the open. So yeah, you know, how much siege strength do we have here? 407, not bad. I guess we'll get a rough estimation, right? So this is a 250 wall integrity fort. So unless there's a decent amount in there, we should one turn crack it. And again, one of the advantages of a giant nation, and you know, we do have a huge stack of stuff here. So yeah, that's the main thing. We're pulling our Peltas group back, partially just to get out of Arcocephali's way. You know, at this point, like, we started chatting a little bit more. You know, I just let them know that, like, hey, like, you know, I did a little bit of raiding down here, but feel free to just move right on through it. And I'll let you know if I'm going to raid down. So basically it's like, yeah, we could keep raiding, but there's a good chance these Peltas are going to die because, you know, we saw our other group get caught when they kept going. And then this is all going to go, you know, to Arcocephali anyway, right? So there isn't really a whole lot of point. I mean, certainly, you know, depending on how everything goes, you know, I could try to quickly rush over and grab some stuff for myself, but, you know, they've been doing a ton of the fighting and a ton of the losses, and so that'd be a bit bad form. And I mean, you know, TNN is a long way from done anyway, so, you know, it's like, yeah, I could rush over here, but could just be rushing to my death. But, you know, in my mind, I think we had worked out that it's like, okay, I'll get Marverni, you know, we'll sort of just draw the line like this, basically, and then, you know, he can take everything south of that, which is far and away like the majority. But I just, you know, I don't think we're going to be able to get much more. And then also the fact that, like, you know, Atlantis has been moving in. Now, granted, they just got locked in by Sea of Ice, but, you know, since it went down once, it'll go down again in all likelihood, especially considering that our #1 and #2 players, at least by like research and gem income, are the underwater nations, right? Yeah, so, you know, there's Atlantis, there's Therados. So, you know, with all those gems, like, obviously Therados doesn't want to be locked underwater either. So it's only a matter of time, I think, before Sea of Ice goes down, in which case, like, Atlantis will be very active along this coast again. So it's like, yeah, we can make a rush, but then it's like we're going to be bumping with Atlantis. It's a bit of a middle finger, you know, to our ally. So anyway, I'm just like, all right, you know, I'm going to take Marverni and like my own territory, and like we'll call that a win, assuming that's how things go. We'll see, right? Obviously, you know, I have come to grief in Titan Steps. Arcocephali has come to grief in Titan Steps, so it's still very much up in the air, but looking much, much better, this war, as compared to where it was. And then, yeah, doing some independent clearing. So this is the latest and greatest, still missing a shield, which is sad. Wasn't planning on using this guy quite yet, but so he's going to get the advantage of the Bless, which is actually really important because those Spine Devils do poison damage. So we got some poison resistance from our Bless. We have, you know, shock resistance, fire. We got all the resistances. The main thing, lifelong protection, right? So like infinite imps, basically. This is huge. It is a bit of a problem because it's tainted, so eventually this guy will get horror marked and start getting attacked by horrors. But I think it's going to be quite a long time before, like, this guy, his job is to kill things, so he'll be able to kill horrors as well. Now, there's some really nasty horrors out there, so I think eventually he will probably be eaten by a horror, but he will hopefully have killed many, many horrors prior to that. So yeah, we finally got some reinvigoration. You know, this is, yeah, with Summon Earth Power, we'll be positive, right? So, you know, we won't fatigue out against stuff. We have our brand finally, you know, to clear chaff. So this is sort of like the latest kit. It's a lot of gems, right? This is like 40 blood slaves. This is like sort of, it's not one of a kind. We did manage, because we are getting like some blood slave income kind of randomly because we took Hinnom, right? So we get 2 from that, and then we found you know, another blood slave here, right? That's 3 a turn, and then I think, yeah, this also gives. So we're not actually even doing any blood hunting, and we get 6 blood slaves. You need a lot more of them, you know, as comparable. Like, you know, a 6 gem income is low, but like not atrocious. Like a 6 blood slave income is atrocious. It's just a total trickle, but it's enough of a trickle that we can do some item forging, and we've actually forged another. So here's the trolls that we're going to be going after. A little more worried about the trolls, so also sending in some Gigantes. We had them. It is a little sad to be using, you know, a mage to lead them. I guess I wanted this guy's going to focus on buffing himself. This mage is going to focus on buffing the giants. Probably overkill, especially because, again, we have another lifelong protection. Anyway, the point I was trying to make is that we cannot forge a lot of these lifelong protections. That takes a long time. So, you know, in terms of like, is this Polemarch over? He has a lot of kit. This is at least other than this, these are all 5 gem items, so that's a plus. But I mean, still, you stack it all up, like, this is a lot of investment. So we're not going to be able to do this for all of our Polemarchs, and, you know, I don't really know. Yeah, I mean, you guys have seen. I'm not fantastic at running thugs, so this is all experimental, trying to figure it out. We're going to have like some low commitment, some high commitment, some medium commitment, everything in between, you know, some whatever's left over from the lab commitment. So anyway, this is what we're sending in against some trolls. How many trolls was it anyway? Let's take a quick look. Yeah, you know, not a ton of trolls, but yeah, with the imps, the one problem with lifelong protection is if you can't build up like a critical mass of the imps, right? Because they only come out 2 at a time, 2 a turn, like 2 a round. And if the enemy has enough stuff to just immediately kill those 2 imps each round, then it actually kind of becomes like a non-factor, right? But if the enemy is busy with some other stuff, right, and they don't get around to killing those 2 imps, 4 imps, 6 imps, 8 imps, then, you know, it starts to become a serious problem, because once you reach once there's enough imps to soak it up, like, they just, you know, can't kill them fast enough. So trolls don't kill particularly fast. We might be able to get away with it just sending in our one guy with his lifelong protection. I don't know. I don't do enough like lifelong protection thugging, so we're throwing a lot of stuff at it, and, you know, we should recapture both of these, no problem. This is probably, yeah, site searching, more site searching, and that's pretty much it. You know, things are relatively quiet overall. Recruitment-wise, we are going back to some recruitment, more Polemarchs, of course. Our human hoplites, right? They're harder to mass, and they're also really gold cheap, both to recruit and upkeep. So, you know, it's kind of like, well, I'm kind of in between, like start recruiting up, you know, some human hoplites, just because those take a little longer to mass up, but they're not going to hurt me too badly in terms of upkeep. And then I think we're going in, yeah, for another Archon. And yeah, I think that more or less covers it. So that was turn 55. All right, Mekone, turn 56. Finished research and construction. Yeah, so this is for the lanterns. Doing a little thaumaturgy next. We're just going up to 3 for the nature remote site search, because our nature income is very pitiful. We would like to improve that, and we don't have a ton of nature mages to be running around, and our nature mages are just level 1 anyway, so yeah. And then of course we miss. Speaking of remote site searching, gems down the drain, but such is the way of remote site searching. And then yeah, we have our battles, our, you know, new thugs in action, plus buddies in this case. So let's take a look. Not expecting this to go too badly. Oh, right, it's Perpetual Storm. That's actually going to help the imps build up a lot, right? Because I was expecting them to just fly in. Not really sure why we're not getting the storm indicator, right? Like, or the visual of, like, no storms. I noticed it seems to be kind of inconsistent with Perpetual Storm. Sometimes it shows a storm, other times it doesn't. Anyway, we completely obliterate these poor trolls. You know, with the imps and everything. Normally the imps would fly to the back, and so the first, you know, couple waves would get killed. But yeah, we have a ton of imps, and we have plenty of gigantes, and you know, we have a thug, and so yeah, I wouldn't even say that's necessarily a great test of our new thug, because it was mostly the gigantes doing the killing. So yeah, gigantes better than trolls. And then this is our other guy. This guy is operating independently, so this is at least a bit of a better test, but he's not up against too much. Spine Devils are dangerous, but there's only a couple of them. And, you know, with his help of the imps, you know, you can see they do cut through the imps pretty darn quick, right? And so do we have a, nope, no retreat. But yeah, so there's the Frostbrand at play. You know, that's going to help a lot. I don't think these guys have great defense. Yeah, they're, you know, better than average, but not fantastic defense. So we should be able to connect. Ooh, we managed to shock ourselves. You can see all that poison stacking up. I think that was from our own plate, which just really kind of drives me nuts. So yeah, here it is. It's, you know, inside of this attack, right? Because it gets triggered due to an attack. So it's right here. Charge Body Strikes, Spine Devil, and Polo Mark. And I'm going to have to look up exactly how to read this, because we have 20 shock resistance from the plate. And, you know, I don't see a 20 in here anywhere, so I'm not sure where our resistance is going. But anyway, this is definitely a common outcome, right? Like, here's our 20 shock resistance. But yeah, stunning yourself with your own copper plate happens, to me at least, a decent amount. Not a lot, but it's not uncommon. And that is dangerous, especially if you're relying on defense or, you know, something. Yeah, it can be real dangerous to have that happen. So, you know, the shock resistance from the plate, and we may have, I think we iron skinned ourselves, right? So we are, you know, yeah, iron skin. So we did actually reduce the shock resistance that the plate gives us, and maybe if you don't do that, you're safe. But it seems like even, you know, if you haven't hurt your shock resistance from the plate, it's just not enough. You can still shock yourself with your own plate. So, but that more or less worked out. I wasn't the cleanest victory. We did actually end the battle. If we just run through, sorry about my divergence to this plate. We ended the battle with quite a bit of damage, although I think it was mostly from, maybe completely from the shock plate, right? So there we go, getting shocked. And like, yeah, you can see we have a good chunk of damage there. Let's see if anybody else manages to get a hit in. Probably not, because, you know, again, that's one of the main advantages of these imps, is they just soak up a lot of attacks that otherwise, you know, would be focused solely on our Polo Mark. Yeah. So our only damage that we took was from our own plate. So yeah, overall decent performance. I don't know. Speaking of thugs, we are not the only one thugging around. So yeah, Russ has a thug here, and yeah, you know, I don't know. This guy's a hero, but he's chest wound and disease, so that hurts. Fairly cheap kitting other than the Vine Shield. So, you know, Vine Shield definitely classic. This is just going to give him some magic damage, which he probably doesn't have normally. And then, yeah, we've talked about the pelt. That's good stuff. And then enlarging him, yeah, just going to give him more hit points, which is not a bad idea on a human chassis. And, yeah, he's not up against too much, just a bit of PD, although it is Barbarian PD. And for, like, you know, 19 hit points, right? This guy's like human plus. He's like right around like half giant kind of levels. So definitely thuggable, but a little risky anytime you have hit points this low. And, you know, barbarians can definitely cause problems. Wow, this guy did a ton of buffing. That chest wound is doing him no favors, although that was still a lot of buffing. And he's super asleep right now. That said, you know, I mean, he's got... That's sad that he didn't manage to get blessed. He is a priest. That's maybe a spell to work in. And yeah, Russ has a lot on their bless. So yeah, and you know, blessing doesn't cause you any fatigue. So you know, if you're in a situation like this, switching a bless in might be a good idea. But anyway, he's ethereal. He's lucky. He's got a fire shield in addition, like to all of his equipment. If he wasn't asleep, I'd say no problem. Yeah, the Vine Shield, critical, right? Vine Shield works whether you're awake or you're asleep. Same with the Fire Shield, actually. So maybe that's the plan, I guess, is to just, you know, go to sleep, let the Vine Shield and the Fire Shield do everything for him. Probably not, because otherwise, like, I don't know, why would you give him a weapon? But maybe, you know, I mean, like, you don't necessarily have to get the kills with the weapon. Oh, yeah, no, that doesn't work out. So morale fails. Yeah, morale is a little low. Morale hat would be nice, but, you know, he's probably trying to go for, you know, a more budget build. So, yeah, you know, barbarians are dangerous, and morale is a problem for thugs. So, you know, that didn't work out for him. But assuming they didn't die in their retreat, you know, it's not the end of the world. And then, yeah, this is just that same army moving on, just cleaning out a few ghouls, probably from a remote attack spell that Calum seems to like. So yeah, we'll try to continue to keep an eye on that conflict, and then unexpected events. Hey, the plague rumors were false. That's really nice. A bunch of bonus tax income, and this is a really valuable province, so that's actually really nice. And then we got an assassin from, you know, killing our helots in Mekone, and interestingly, only in Mekone. So I actually thought that you got a assassin, you know, per fort with Mekone, like as long as you didn't blow it by not having an E4 present. But yeah, we only got the one, so I guess you're not guaranteed to always get an assassin. And then, yeah, we got some people trying to worship someone else. Found some gold. Very nice. We do desperately need that. And we finished our palisade here. So that's good. And we did one turn crack Marverni. So it looks like there isn't too much in there. And then, yeah, patrolling, of course. And then we had a guy die from a disease. I actually think we had a few deaths last turn. And you can see, I think this was probably legitimate in terms of... yeah, this is the guy that we brought out to just do the blessing. And we knew he was in trouble. And like, yeah, we have another guy here who's been diseased, right? And he's old age, right? And what is it? It's fall. So yeah, maybe he's had this disease. Giants do take a little while, right? Because they have a lot of hit points. So it does take him a second to die from disease. But yeah, even with unaging, right? Like this guy is old and like here's a disease and he's dying off. But you can see that like largely it's okay. Like with, and I think growth 3 actually helps keep like old guys alive longer. Conversely, if it's like super death scales, then yeah, I'll double check that, but pretty sure that you're more likely to pick up diseases and stuff from old age, depending on the growth or death scales. But you know, overall, like the unaging like is, you know, doing what it's supposed to do. I still think it was a mistake, but we're not really losing anyone critical, you know, especially like the Archons to diseases in old age. And I think some of the disease issues that we've been having are Bane Venom charm related. And, you know, not a lot you can do about that with your bless. So anyway, what are we up to? So we cracked Marverni, and we're going to storm. You know, no scrying, no like poking with a scout. These are all things that we could do, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's not going to be too much in there. We one turn cracked it. I also, you know, I don't want to fall too far behind Arcocephali. I also didn't bring anybody. I guess I could have poked like maybe with one of these guys. You know, in retrospect, looking at it, like we're not in a particular rush. I don't love being tied down like this, but you know, I mean, our one enemy is pretty busy. You know, and I say our one enemy. These Nephil Giants have been hanging out here for a while now, at least like a turn or two, and like this definitely is starting to concern me. Now, I mean, I had been trying to convince him to come in on TNN, right? And he still has a viable border here. Maybe he just wants these like Storm Demon provinces, but like this also connects back to our... He's not very far away from our capital. So, you know, we do have a nap with him, but like, you know, the fact that this giant army, it's just kind of weird that it's just hanging out here on the border. Now, that said, I mean, he was having Atlantis problems, so like maybe he's just worried that Sea of Ice is going to come back. But I mean, like Niflheim Jarls can research, they're mages. And yeah, I don't think there's a lab here. Maybe there's a lab here, and so he's just researching. But anyway, like, you know, just having our army tied down for a while, like, could be a problem. So maybe should have poked in, but we're not. We're gonna storm, and we're not gonna storm with everything, because let's see, because you know, trying to slam an army, you know, I've seen time and time again, trying to slam a whole army in is just gonna be ugly, ugly, ugly. So it's gonna be hard to see exactly what we're doing. This is one downside where you're storming with part of it. So we're gonna be sending, I think, all of our Gigantes. Nope. We're going to be sending some of our Gigantes, 16 of them, attack rear, more or less in the front here, and they're just going to go right in. And probably this guy, yeah, also storming. Yeah, speaking of disease, and he's not one that would, he's not old age, so, yeah, it's probably Bane Venom Charm, or, yeah, you can get diseases from other things too. I just hate Bane Venom Charms, so blame it on that. Yeah, we're going to send Thune in as well. So basically, we're going to send a bunch of thugs in, right? So like all of our guys that we have thugged out, they're going to go in, and they're going to go in with just like these 16 Gigantes. And then we're also sending in some casters, right? Like, yeah, this guy's going to do some blessing and then advance and cast spells. And then I think that diseased Polemarch, who has now escaped me, here he is. Yeah, so he's going to be doing some like Maws of the Earth with these gems. That's why he's like all the way in the front. And, you know, if he dies, that's okay because he's diseased. So yeah, basically like a more like elite team, you know, smaller, you know, yeah, if you try to send in like all the Peltasts, it gets ugly. Everybody just jams up in the gate, and you just end up taking a bunch of spell fire, arrow fire, like, you know, you name it. So trying to be a little more efficient here about like, you know, this assault. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I just lose a bunch of really valuable, you know, units and mages. And definitely an argument to be made for like poking your head in first, like before, you know, you send in like the crack team, or we hope that they're elite and effective. But we'll see. And then, you know, speaking of cracks, Arcocephali has also cracked this fort, so we may see a double storm here. We'll see. Maybe Arcocephali is just gonna, you know, poke their head in, be a little more cautious than me. And then let's see. Oh yeah, this is bringing this up a little bit worried. You know, we don't really have anything for this guy to do now particularly, and we would like to keep our retreat route open. So this isn't a lot of stuff, right? This is just like one guy that's going to point buff, you know, our Polemarch thug here. So yeah, this is not a lot of stuff to keep our retreat route open, but at least like if he tries to like cloud trapeze just like one thug, we have a pretty good chance of winning that fight and keeping our retreat path open in case TNN does come out, you know, guns blazing and whoop our whole army, and then it's like, well, you know, this is our only place to retreat to. So trying to be a little bit better about keeping retreat paths open for myself, and then sending the Peltasts home. And, you know, sending these guys home, doing a little bit of mage shuffling. This is probably more site searchers. Yeah, maybe. Or trying to... Oh, no, I know. I remember what these guys are up to. They are eventually going to go down and, you know, grab this province back from these storm demons, assuming, you know, Niflheim doesn't grab it. And if they catch some elves along the way. The raiding has kind of cooled off, right? Because obviously TNN kind of has their hands full right now, you know, and poor TNN. I mean, I say poor TNN, they were trying to eat us, but still, anytime you're going up against 3 people, like, let's be clear, that's not fair. But we're not here to fight fair. So anyway, if we happen to catch some Elven Raiders along the way, great. But yeah, mostly looking to recapture this from the Storm Demons. Recruitment-wise, I think more or less the same. Oh yeah, replacing lost Basilisk. I think we have one. Yeah, we have one. But again, like our water income is pitiful, and we have lots of water site searching that we need to do. So yeah, getting one of those guys for like magic diversity, site searching, all that good stuff. More human hoplites, you know, we talked about that, always with the lizard shamans, of course. And then yeah, finishing off our Archon, no more troop production. We are like, yeah, still relatively broke. See, research-wise, yeah, going to enchantment 6. I think we've talked about that. That's for, yeah, So Dragon's Teeth. We get some other cool stuff, but mostly that. Conjuration level 6 gets us a variety of, useful diversity things, but this Care is how we would get into blood, theoretically. We can also bring in Lamia Queens, which are really good casters and not super expensive. We don't have very good nature income, so that's a bit of a problem, but it gets us a bunch of other stuff, right? You get the Troll Quartz, right? So, Water 3, Earth 3, the Flame Spirit, Fire 3, right? So there's just a lot of useful diversity stuff here at Conjuration level 6. And of course, we'll pick up full-sized elementals along the way, and Mekone is a strong elemental power, right? So we can really do any of the elemental. Well, not so much with water. We don't have a ton of water access, but we can do a lot of elementals. So that'll be useful as well. And then, sure, then probably make the march to like Alt 9. We just don't have room, which this, who knows? Maybe we get there, maybe we don't. So anyway, that's where we're at for research. And yeah, I think that covers turn 56.